two things that give me the most pain, that give me the most terror, and that give me the most resistance. Those two things are cold plunging and running. Those two things are by far the things that I hate the most. And because of that, around a month and a half ago, when I was living in Bali, I set myself a challenge of over 10 days, I would do 50 minutes of cold plunge and do 100 kilometers of running. So that means 5 minutes of cold plunge per day and 10 kilometers of running per day. And keep in mind, before this, I had not run probably more than a kilometer, either on track or on a treadmill, basically ever, besides when I was a young kid. And the most I could do in an ice bath was genuinely about 3 seconds. All my friends knew that I was the pussy when it comes to ice baths, and I would try and jump in, and within 3 seconds I would go, and I would have to come out. That's the level that I was at. And those two things genuinely horrified me. I hated them so much. And so that, of course, is the reason why I chose them. They're the big, scary resistance tasks, and doing them would help me kind of become he who can and become the type of person that overcomes resistance. So what I want to do for you in this video is kind of go over the 3 biggest points and the 3 most important things that I guess I learned from this experience. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Matt. I built an agency and now I'm building a coaching business, basically teaching people what I did with the agency and still do with the coaching business. And really the entire goal with what we do is helping more early stage agency owners hit that $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 per month. Now, number 1, and this is kind of the golden rule of discipline that I found, is zero negotiation. The thing that I would have to tell myself every single day is we don't negotiate with terrorists. And this started immediately. But before the challenge, maybe 5 days before the challenge, when I'd kind of planned out what I wanted to do, I was super excited about it. I was super pumped, super happy. So I went to tell some of my friends that were staying in the same villa as me. I told them, and immediately they said, that's stupid. That's never, ever going to happen. You've never run in your life, really. How are you going to run 10K per day for 10 days? That's impossible. Just give up. Genuinely, that's what they told me. And that's what kind of sparked this idea. Of course, these people aren't, terrorists, but in my mind, they were terrorists towards the challenge and the goal that I had set for myself. And so I made that rule. Under no circumstances do we negotiate with terrorists. I have a plan set out, or for you, whether it's for your cold calls, your sales call that you have today, whatever you have a plan set out, and you cannot let any terrorists give you any small sum of an idea that you shouldn't do it. And so there's 2 types of terrorists. There's external, like the person that I just talked about that told me I couldn't do it. But more importantly, by far, is the internal terrorists. And that is the resistance. That is the part of you that's telling you, oh no, just don't do the cold calls, just, go have a shower. Don't take that sales call, it's probably a bad fit anyway, just go lie in bed. By far, the internal terrorists are 100 times worse. And every single time that I was about to hop in that cold plunge, or every single time that I was, about to put on my shoes to start a run, those terrorists would try to speak to me. They would try to get some leverage over me to try and, make me stop. But golden rule number 1, when it comes to discipline and when it comes to beating resistance, we do not negotiate with those terrorists ever. Zero negotiation. We have to turn off our brain and get to work. Now, point number 2, and this is maybe a common piece of advice that you've heard before, but I want to break it down in a way that's specific to you, is you have to kind of break yourself and kill yourself to become that new person. And of course, I've kind of talked about this before, but this really is by far the most important thing. The old Matt was the Matt that was terrified of this thing, right? And the way to become he who can, you have to, of course, start acting like that new self, but you have to kind of remove and kill your old self. And the only weapon that you have for that is the work. And more specifically, the thing that gives you the most resistance and the most fear, right? So for me, like I said, that was the ice plunge and that was the run. And so for that reason, I picked those 2 things specifically so they would kill my old self. And every time that I was, 7.5 kilometers into my run for that day or 3 minutes into the ice bath and I was really feeling it, that's not suffering, that's liberation. You're liberating yourself, and the old part of you that couldn't survive that is off. And that kind of new you is born, if that's what you want to call it. Sure, it sounds cringy, sounds whatever, but it's the truth and it's what I experienced. And this is why in business and inside of Olympus, we kind of follow this equation of work times pain equals resistance, and resistance to the power of time equals win. All we need to do is sit in that resistance day in, day out. Deal with it. Don't try and run away. Deal with it. Work day in, day out. Feel the pain, feel the resistance. And doing that over enough time, you're going to kind of build up the character and you're going to win. So rule number 2 is break yourself. Now, number 3 is something that I call the deserving factor. So I trained at this gym in Bali called Nirvana when I was doing the challenge. There was some pretty big influences around me, like Hamza Ahmed, and a few other guys with a couple 100,000, maybe a couple million subscribers or Instagram followers. And this gym was very cool, right? It had like, super fancy ice bath, super fancy, treadmills and everything like that. It was great. But the best part about this challenge was every day for those 10 days, I would do my challenge. It would be hell. It would suck. But once I had finished that challenge, I would go down to the cafe and I would have a massive meal of eggs, then of bacon and of steak. And I would eat like a king. And I would have this feeling of, I've earned this. I deserve this. And that was genuinely the best thing ever, right? Feeling like genuinely, sitting with my knife and fork like this on the table with my massive platter of, like I said, eggs and steak and all this food after I'd just done this insanely hard thing, especially for me, insanely hard thing. I kind of conquered myself, is the best feeling ever. And I can tell you from experience, and I can tell you from the dozens of students inside of Olympus experience, that it's the exact same thing when it comes to the work, right? When you've done your 125 cold calls for today and you book 6 sales calls today, you're going to go to bed that night, when you're kind of tucked up away in bed, you're going to go to bed feeling good, feeling like you've earned something, you've won the day, and you're deserving of this good night's sleep. That deserving factor genuinely feels magnificent. And on the flip side, it feels so horrible to not have that deserving factor, to go to sleep knowing you didn't do the work, going to sleep knowing that you could have done better, but you didn't, right? We need to be constantly seeking that deserving factor, that deserving feeling. It's the most liberating, amazing thing in the world. It's very good to have mentors, to have friends, to have your parents, to have, your girlfriend or whatever it is to help you. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to you, and no one is going to be there to save you. So that's why having these big personal wins and kind of evolving into this new self is really the most important thing you can do. Okay? So if you are a more early stage learner, the first link in the description is for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.